What's your favorite scary movie?
Pat from Pop Culture with Pat here with Kimberly Guerrero talking about it. Welcome to Derry. Kimberly, thank you so much for your time today.
It's such a joy, Pat.
I'm going to let you guys know that this is going to contain spoilers for the first several episodes of It Welcome to Derry. So just want to make sure you guys are cut up before watching this interview because I wanted to start off, Kimberly, that Rose, this character, she's both a storyteller, passing down the knowledge that she has of this being down to her people, but she's also a protector, trying to keep this entity in Derry as well. So, what was it like exploring those aspects of Rose in the series?
It was really exciting because I think it was an aspect of being a Stephen King fan. It's an aspect as an Indigenous person that I was naturally wanting to go into. And I studied history in college to boot. So, like, kind of going into the anthropological realities of how something like this would happen in a matriarchal society. And so, with a society that has clan mothers and how the information passes down through the clan mothers. So it was really cool unpacking that, especially with John Bear Mitchell, who's our Penobscot consultant, an elder, an expert, and a professor. So we were right in the heart of the community and investigating kind of what's possible and how would this person, how would Rose have received the information, been chosen? Is it, passed down through bloodline? Is it a combination of bloodline and being chosen? And so there was a lot of really juicy room to play and explore and imagine, but also it was incredible to kind of find a place that sat right with everyone, right? So it's really a spiritual undertaking. Storytelling is a spiritual undertaking from my perspective and from a lot of our folks as Indigenous storytellers' perspective. So like bringing that aspect of it in was really exciting.
Yeah, I've been really fascinated about that whole storyline so far in the series, what we've gotten to see with it, and I can't wait to see how it, ends up wrapping up for this first season. And people who end up leaving Derry, we know that they start to lose memories of their time in the town. But Rose, she's there, she has to stay, and so she remembers everything that's happened and just has that responsibility. So what kind of effect does that have on her having to remember all of this?
Well, I think again, she has that foundation of that spiritual knowledge that it is
Oh no.
spiritual, but it follows through into the practical realms as well. So it's there is a reality of its presence, actual physical presence being, under dairy. And so I think that there's probably medicine that she uses that could possibly be tied to the maturin root. There's prayers, there's songs, there's different ways of navigating this entity that they've been dealing with for, since the 1600s. So there's a lot of knowledge there. And then for me personally, the very first question I had to answer for myself was why a secondhand store? And so I started delving into some Penobscot burial rituals because I just knew it wasn't okay for me, Kimberly, and certainly wasn't okay for Rose, who's a matriarch and a protector. She doesn't want any child to die. She doesn't want any human being to die. And all life is sacred. So it's her way of knowing this is going to happen, of how does she, I mean, Rose and her community would believe that we're eternal beings living a temporal existence. So then how do I help these kids who have been taken by this evil entity, malevolent entity, how do I help release their spirits? And having a possession of theirs or having something that she's caring for is a way that Penobscot people would help bury their dead and help that ceremonial process to happen. So I think it's a cathartic thing. This is Rose's third cycle. And I think it's a way that she can help expiate some of the, for lack of a better word, guilt and just the heavy burden that she and the other protectors carry.
Do you think it's something, does she ever think about or wish that she could maybe forget some of these memories, or is that responsibility means so much to her?
The responsibility is a very sacred one, and I think that there it comes the position, and that may be the wrong word, the calling, comes with a certain amount of capacity to be able to hold that and hold space for that grief and the mourning and Yeah, it's a sacred position, and she knows she's been called to it. And also, she's got the DNA of her ancestors in there. They've been doing this for a long time. So it's not just her on her own. It's her as a big, beautiful, strong chain, of trying to protect the world.
Yeah. And then as far as one of my other favorite aspects too is just the relationship between Rose and General Shaw. So can you kind of just talk about exploring that relationship and dynamic between your characters with James? I'm sure that must have been a lot of fun.
It was so fun, and I'm such a fan of James Remar, as so many of us are. And I think both of us were kind of maybe surprised when we talked, and we both had the same instinct that they had been each other's not only first love, but probably only love, and that he had gone on and kind of married the military, and Rose had gone on and married her duty,
True.
as a keeper and a protector. And so they're very similar. They found very parallel paths, but with very different intentions. And so it's a really fascinating thing for them to come back together on separate sides of what's right and what's wrong, and sharing this very, very deep secret. I think there's a really powerful line, again, spoiler, um, in I believe episode 3, and Mike, a young Rose says to him, "Can you keep a secret?" And I think that's really at the heart of, what so really gets us about Welcome to Derry and the it world of these kids is like we all know that experience. We were all kids at one time, and maybe had that best friend slash could be romantic interest, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so it was really a powerful thing to then be in secondhand Rose as Rose and have Francis come in, and you could just feel the chemistry and the spark there. It was just like they were kids again. And so there's like the balance of like, oh my gosh, he's still really good looking, and look at him and his, and vice versa, I think. But it's like, game face,
Oh yeah.
and also why are you here? And so it's just it's very, very juicy storytelling.
Yeah, I loved getting to see that unfold and have to ask you as far as just won't give away obviously what episode that shows up, but what was your reaction to seeing Bill all get up in the Pennywise outfit and makeup and everything for the first time? Because I'm sure it's one thing watching it on a screen, but actually seeing it in person is a whole nother experience, I feel like.
Yeah, it really is. And I come from the world of theater, and there is something about the pure spectacle of taking on a character and getting to see it in person. So it had that aspect, of being able to like you're sitting at a great Broadway play. Also Bill is a ginormous human being, and there's so much physicality to what he does. There are practical things, right, about what he's doing with the character that are emoting, and creating an energy in the room that is really electric. And so I mean, everybody can imagine how cool that would be. It's that plus,
Oh yeah.
it's plus.
Yeah, I
He's
can't wait for fans to check it out. And the last question for you, Kimberly, as far as one of my favorite things too, just with the whole world of it, is exploring how fears change over time. Because you can be afraid of one thing as a child, but then as you get older as an adult, those fears can turn into something completely different. So how has Rose's fears changed from when she was a kid to an adult now?
That's a fantastic question. And I think it all does come back to her responsibility. I do think she sees herself as both a front line and a back line of defense between keeping this entity, in its cage and away from the world, because she knows it's an eater of worlds. And
Yep.
so that then becomes her greatest fear of what if, on her watch, because she's very much the leader of this group, that is guarding the cage. Um, the what ifs, which you also can entertain, but it's like, oh, if he gets in there, but she
Yeah.
knows better than that, right? Like there are a lot of indigenous cultures that say, don't bring fear into the village, don't bring fear into the village. They've known for a long time that fear is contagious. And so I think that she is a warrior. She's a soldier every bit as much as Frances is. She's a three-star general on her
Yep.
side of things. So there's a lot of discipline and a lot of focus that goes into it.
She's got the weight of the world on her shoulders, no doubt about that. Well, Kimberly, I just want to say thank you so much for your time today. Wonderful getting to talk to you about the series. Congratulations on the series because people have been loving it, and you're welcome back anytime in the future.
Thank you so much. It means the world. Hope you all enjoy watching.